Hello everyone, Dan the 14th Prime here, continuing my Transformers Combiner Wars Combaticons reviews. Up here next we've got Vortex, one of my favorites of the guys. Love this character when I was a kid in his helicopter mode. So here you can see the front of the package. Again, comic book for mine. All four of my deluxe guys have this comic book. You can see right there through the packaging some nice color coming off this guy, which we'll get to see when we get him out. The standard back we've been seeing in terms of a couple pics, some schematics of Bruticus. So let's open this guy up and take a look. So again, quickly before we get into the figure, here's a quick shot of the comic. You got Vortex cover art on the front, IDW Combiner Wars. And again, the comic, I paged it, not necessarily about the Combaticons, Swindle is in there, but it's just a general IDW comic. So here quickly, just want to show you his handpiece accessory that comes with the figure. I am noticing some detailing that's unique. Here you can see the guns on the front. They look like the old G1 kind of spinning, I don't know if they called those Vulcan guns, or I forget what they were called, but kind of the spinning machine gun, multiple barrel sort of thing. So that's a cool sort of throwback, and definitely different than what we had with Blastoff, which you can see here, the comparison. So that's cool. They're customizing some molding and some of that detailing for the figure. And then lastly, you have his gun here, which is terribly unpainted. It's just the gray plastic, kind of like the handpiece, but you can see some nice molding, like where the bullets are on the side there, some venting on the barrel. So it's too bad, or you had the opportunity maybe with some custom paint work to make this look really nice. You kind of lined out the bullets and everything. There's some detail there to make this look pretty sharp. Terribly hollow on the other side. So here we have the Interrogator Vortex. And I gotta say, just kind of looking at these guys through the box and as I'm going through them, he's the one that really jumped out as being my favorite, just with the color scheme. Love the alt mode, and going back to a kid, he was probably my favorite of them as well. So here he is, straight on view, a lot of color kind of through the arms and the chest there. You can see in terms of how they've gone about transformation, the tail fin, they've chose to just kind of swap around to the back and give them separate sets of arms, which is fine. And the G1 toy actually used this section for arms, and it probably would have eliminated some of that kibble. But they're trying to get better and better alt modes, I suppose. Here you have the back of the figure, and the main thing I've been noticing as I've been handling is this blade just likes to kind of flop around quite a bit back here. Not sure if this is supposed to be more neatly sitting in there somehow. We'll have to see, but it kind of just flops back and has some play and looseness to it. But consistent with a lot of the other figures, their back is basically kibble central. Here you have the side view, and that's where you can see those blades sticking out and kind of leaning back. You get a nice view of some of the purple striping up and down the figure that'll come together when he's in a helicopter mode. You got the rockets on the arm, which I think is a cool accent. Okay, so that's the quick views from kind of front, back, side. Let's zoom in and get a close look at the details. So here's we pan up on the front, you can see the feet are the cockpit. That's going to help make the windows and come together there. And it's nice, it looks like it's going to give the feet some articulation, so that's going to be helpful. So we come up through the knee and then the thighs here. Now we start to get color accents with that kind of teal that we knew from the G1 version. Got some nice yellow accents there, which is new with the rockets. Through his midsection here, he's got red, yellow, purple. All looks really good. And a bright red eyes for the visor. So there's the front. Here, if you just want to take a closer look at the head sculpt, Some nice fine detailing in there. Top of the head. You can see how that comes around to the side as well. And actually all the way through the top there and behind. So pretty decent head sculpt. Here's the back of the figure. What pops more dramatically is some of the kibble for the cockpit. As we pan up here, and I'll swap some focuses because some of these parts kind of stick out. But right now you can see the back of the arms, the side of the arms, which have the rockets. There's like 3 rockets molded into each arm, which is pretty cool. The yellow accents. And you get basically the kibble that's going to be the tail fin section of the alt mode. And if I just come back here with the focus swapped, you can see that's the helicopter blade sticking out right there. And I did find a little bit of adjustment. There's a trade-off here, but this kind of butt flap piece can go towards the body or away from the body. So before it was basically all the way down towards the body and towards the legs, which was making the blades lean back. Here I've adjusted it and put it farther away from the legs, so it's angled more to the left. That helps the blades come in and tuck behind some of the fins there on the helicopter mode. So personal preference there in terms of how you want those sitting. So here's up his right side. And just kind of put those front and back views together with the foot and some of the cockpit kibble. Purple stripe, teal colored knees, yellow colored arms. There you see the rockets up nice and close. Some Decepticon logos on the fins, which will look nice in alt mode. Okay, so that's a bit of a closer up look of Vortex. Let's check out his articulation. So articulation, just in looking at him, I'm guessing he's going to be very similar to Blast Off from what I see. But let me go ahead and show you. Definitely the one extra is going to be because of this transformation piece. We're going to get some kind of foot ankle action, which we didn't get on Blast Off. So that's a nice plus. In terms of the knee or the thigh, again, you got the ball joint. So this thing is going to go everywhere just fine. And going back, you know, the blade's going to get in the way, so kibble's the main thing going to be restricting. Thigh movement, swivel, check. Knee, check, so that's all consistent. It does have a waist swivel, so you can take that all the way around. Arms are on a ball joint, so no issues there. Get those all the way out. It does have the elbow swivel, consistent with Blast Off, and then kind of the ratchet elbow joints. So that is all consistent, and the head also. You get some nice upward movement in 360. So pretty much exactly the same as Blast Off, but then you get the feet as kind of the bonus articulation point. Okay, so let's go ahead and transform them into alt mode. Okay, so to go to alt mode, the instructions describe it as a 13-step process, but a lot of these are small, quick steps that could probably be and will feel more combined. But if we go around to the back, this piece I was talking about, I want to go ahead and bring that up and put the blades out. So it's more natural. Alt positioning is going to be straight out like that. Next, go ahead and peg the legs together. You can see some nice pegs in here. Just bring those together. Give them a twist. And then here on this guy is when the accordion movement will come into play, which is basically being used all the time. Oops, sorry, you open up this side. And that opens up the leg, and when you go back to robot mode, it's important to notice there's some pegs here that peg into the helicopter section there. So just as you go back, make sure that fits together for you. But otherwise, again, just kind of accordion down the legs and close it up. The arms then easily just tab into the side, tab on the wrist, goes into a tab on the hip. Right here we want to bring the front of the helicopter together. Again, these side pieces, when you go back to robot mode, there's a nice tab here and tab on the helicopter to kind of store those away nice and tightly. But for helicopter, just kind of spin them and bring them forward. They're basically on ball joints, so spin it around. Bring it forward and they'll peg together. And then his feet become the top of that cockpit section. Next, bring forward the rest of the blade. It pegs in like so. And then for hiding his head, just give it a little spin and then pull back the tail fin right over the top. Here's Vortex in alt mode, and again I gotta say it looks good. There's nice detailing in the cockpit there on the side. You can see kind of the windows, the tip of the nose. I like the purple striping all the way across, the Decepticon tag on the fin there. Again, you've got the really big rockets there, just right in your face right now from this view. So those look large, but it looks sleek. I think overall it looks pretty good. One thing I'm noticing, which is probably mine, is this thing is loose up here, the helicopter blade, kind of wobbling how it's pegged in there, and it tends to have a lean to it. It's kind of leaning forward and down, so the blade doesn't necessarily look straight, which is probably hard to see from this angle. But if I slide it over here, you can probably see more easily. That teal piece on top is leaning forward a little bit. The blade kind of spins and really brings it forward. I don't know if it's bent. Maybe let me know if you guys have one that's straighter. I don't know if mine's just loose or crooked, but it is creating the blade effect to look odd. Look at that. So that's not perfect. Here he is from the front, focused in on the nose. You can see some of that detailing with the cockpit section, which looks really good. Then when I focus on the back, you can see how those hands and rockets look coming at you, which again I think is hidden away pretty nicely. Give you the right hand side here just for completeness. Obviously it looks pretty much exactly like the other side. And from the back here you can get a feel for the angling of the tail fins in the rear section and how that looks. I'm going to just pick him up here and give you that top view again. Looking pretty good from the top. It all comes together pretty nice and clean. And then on the other side, the bottom, which I alluded to already, it's nice and clean. You can see some of that cockpit nose cone detailing comes around the bottom there, that black paint in the front. Then you have kind of all the chest colors and things, which probably isn't perfect for the alt mode, but there's not a lot you can do about that. But again, overall, everything's hidden well and looks pretty good. Okay, so getting this guy into the left arm of Bruticus is pretty simple. First, I'm going to get the peg out. And again, I'm going to turn his head here. The instructions don't say that, but I think turning the head just helps with a little bit better hiding. And then just kind of push back the head, flip out the peg. Peg the legs together, kind of similar to alt mode. Snapping those together like so. But you got the legs pegged together, just give a little, that 90-degree twist. Snap down the arms, again, similar to alt mode, they'll just peg down, nice and flat. Grab his hand, and again, similar thing, it's just going to peg onto the bottom there, like so. So here you have it with the hand piece in. This is the outside of the arm. You got the blade. Still up and folded up, kind of like robot mode. Arms pegged down. Back of the hand. So this is what the arm is going to look like completed. And of course you have his gun, which can peg into the top of the hand there. So there you have him geared up with his gun. Got the machine guns coming out of the top of the fist. And of course the one thing that I wish they could have made happen is the blade. It's all folded up here. So getting the blade out isn't perfect. So you can put it out and it can sit there like this. It won't spin because it will run into the rear section of the helicopter. But at least you can get it somewhat out to have it sitting there. Because if you're like me, you think of that as kind of a weapon or a shield or something Bruticus would use to do some damage sometimes. So having that at least out and extended for me is better than having it kind of neatly folded up. I mean, this is a cleaner look. So that's certainly a cleaner look to the arm, but it's missing something without the blade being extended. So I'd probably be playing with it when he's together and just getting that out there. So it's at least extended, even though the functionality is not perfect. So there we have Vortex, guys. I gotta say, probably my favorite. Really liking Vortex, was a favorite of mine back in the G1 days. I think they brought him back pretty well here for Combiner Wars. So really happy about that. So that's Vortex, guys. Be sure to check out my other individual Combiner Wars figures to see them all. I'll see you with the next video.